Hello, my name is Alex Royer, and this is my testimony. I was born into a military family, and as a result, we moved around a lot and never really grew up with a tight-knit of friends. Starting in about 7th grade, I went down a deviant path, started playing football, started hanging out with a bunch of older guys, and I was kind of the kid that, hey, we dare you to do something. As a little 7th grader trying to look up to the older guys, I went into that motion trying to fit in with the crowd. This got me into a lot of bad stuff, started partying, which eventually developed into a form of anger and rage. And while I was 13 and 14 years old, the alcohol just promoted the anger. This typically got me involved in a lot of fights. Things just got worse in high school as time went on. Eventually just got addicted to pills, and from rage and alcohol, the depression started kicking in. Eventually just got in real trouble with the law, and as a result, my parents told me on January 13th, 2010 that I'd be going to the Dominican Republic. As a result, I was really happy because I had a lot of people at the time wanting to really hurt me. So I was just really excited. They did not tell me, however, that this was an alternative to a juvenile detention home. So on January 14th, 2010, I was sent to the Dominican Republic. I instantly knew the place that I was going to wasn't the place that I expected. We were driving up in a minivan on a gravel road, and we went through these 2 iron gates. There's 2 men, 2 Dominicans with shotguns at the entrance of the gate, and I instantly knew that this was not a place that I would enjoy being at. Once there, they stripped me of anything that was not Christian labeled. They stripped me of my belt and my shoelaces, and I was thrown into a room with 8 other guys that were also juvenile delinquents. There's Christian values behind it, but it's definitely a discipline-oriented program. The first week there was probably one of the hardest weeks of my life. While I was there as a 15-year-old and a freshman in high school, I actually saw one of the guys that was also in the program attempt to suicide. In the middle of the night, I heard him, the belt breaking above our bed, and I saw him grasping for air. And as a 15-year-old, that just really messes you up. At that point, my parents had abandoned me. It was out of love, but it was still just a form of abandonment. The depression really sunk in. The pills were no longer in effect because there was no way to achieve them. And without doing alcohol or other pills, it really just brought a deep depression on my life to want to relapse. And just going through that moment in my life, I just really seeked out worldly things, wasn't a Christian. And then 2 months later, I actually heard the gospel for one of the first times in my life. 2 months into the program, we had a kind of like a youth retreat. It was a bunch of games in which we would go out and play football, lacrosse, and we'd go in and we'd hear about the gospel. The whole week I was just denying it, saying that wasn't for me, that God wouldn't accept this kid's life because of what I had done. And then the final week, we got the minister there was just really talking and hitting the point on, doesn't matter what you do in your life, but it matters about who Christ is in you. And was still really reluctant towards giving my life to Christ, but my heart became more tender towards that. He asked for an altar call and said if anyone wanted to give their lives to Christ, that they could come down to the altar. And instantly I said, no way, that's not for me. Just not encouraged by doing that. And then he asked again, and once again, God just really placed it on my heart, which I didn't know at the time. But I was feeling more willing to just go down. And so I prayed, God, I specifically remember my prayer. I said, God, if you are real and you want me to go down to the altar, I need you to speak through this pastor and say that there's no condemnation on your sin. And instantly the pastor said the exact same thing that I said in my mind. And so I knew that this was God, and I knew that this was what he wanted me to do. So I went down, gave my life to Christ. I wish that I could say from there on out things got easy, but I still got in fights, I still committed sin, and that's just the glory of our Savior, is the fact that through it all, he still died on the cross for you and me. Typically in my life, I tell people that the hardest event wasn't going to the Dominican Republic, is actually coming back to my Christian themed school. The first week back, I was really judged for my past actions. I was actually even told that I should leave and got spit on by on my feet. That was just a really hard moment because it was like I finally got saved. I finally realized Christ's love for me, but then when I go back to these so-called Christians, they weren't treating me the way Christ treated the other sinners around him. I just want to give recognition to Christ and what he's done in my life. And if I could just tell you one thing, it's just that Christ can use you no matter what you do. Your past is forgettable, and the thing is, we have a Father that loves us so much that he actually sent his son to die on a tree for you. And if you can't accept that gift, what gift can you accept in life? Because it was a free gift and it was eternal life. My name's Alex Royer, and that was my testimony.